So next up is 3D Energy with the ticker code TDO. 3D Energy has developed an outstanding portfolio of highly prospective offshore exploration permits in the Otway and Gippsland basins of Southeast Australia. Proximal to existing gas fields, associated infrastructure, and of course the undersupplied East Coast gas market. Noel, I'll hand over to you to give us an overview of TDO.
Yeah, thank you, Jane, and good morning, everyone there. I am the founder of 3D Energy, a company that's been primarily focused since its inception on basically acquiring offshore areas in Australia and then attracting large companies, and we've been very successful at doing that. I think it's one of the most compelling stories. Arguably, we are the most leveraged company playing in the East Coast gas sector. Anyway, it's an exciting time. We believe we're embarking on a journey at the moment, transitioning from an explorer to a producer/explorer, and we'll address that today. So this is where. Now you can see on the left the map of Australia where our portfolio is. Today, I only want to focus on the Otway, offshore Otway basin. You can see we have two permits there, Vic P79 and T49P. We are the largest acreage holders in the Bass Strait region, and we have these incredibly prospective blocks that are virtually frontier blocks. However, they're close to existing fields, they're in shallow water, close to infrastructure, and close to a gas market that needs gas. You couldn't get a better spot to have a large portfolio. So let's just talk about the who now. The who is we've managed to attract one of the largest independent oil and gas companies in the world, ConocoPhillips, into our two blocks. We originally introduced Conoco into our T49 permit in 2019. It was a pretty good deal, I'd say. We got a full carry on a $15 million seismic survey, a full carry on a well, and $3 million cash. We repeated this same exercise in 2022. We picked up the block that is further to the north, adjacent to this block, Vic P79. And again, we repeated what we'd done with T49P. We've got Conoco to farm in and to carry us for a well, and also a cash up front. So it's a pretty exciting partner. We're solely focused in these permits on getting gas to market as quick as we can. So how are we going to do this? So we have a huge amount of area to explore. So we have a conveyor belt of prospects that are going to be available with drilling through time. We have a data set that's enormous. We have 4,000 square kilometers of 3D seismic. And 3D seismic in this area is incredibly important. It really unlocks the potential of this area like no other place in Australia. So we have a rig on the way. We will be drilling 2 wells next year, fully carried by Conoco. And then we may drill up to 4 further wells in the area post 2025 and 26. Our focus on this drilling campaign is to target the lowest risk gas we can and bring it to market as quick as we can. So one thing we recently did with Conoco, just so we can expedite our getting gas to market, is we had to carry for a well in each permit. What we've done with Conoco is change the conditions on the well in T49P to be able to drill that carry well anywhere in the 2 permits. So what we want to do when we drill initially is really focus on drilling low-risk targets that are close to infrastructure. And so we probably will be drilling both wells in Vic P79, although it hasn't been finalized as yet. But we're in the throes of discussing that as we talk. It gets even better. Like one of the things this area is famous for is it has a very, very high success rate. Arguably, it's almost 100% success rate, depending on the way you look at it. But let's just be fair, say 88% success rate in two decades. The reason it works so well is we just have the planets in alignment in terms of getting amplitude anomalies on seismic and related to gas. And so, Conoco are very excited about this. It's unlike any other area they work in the world where success rate is so high. And we will be targeting when we drill these amplitude anomalies called AVOs, absolutely 100%. So we have further prospectivity going forward, and hopefully prior to drilling in 2026, we will be acquiring a seismic survey to the west of in the Vic P79, about 1,000 square kilometres. We currently have our environmental plan submitted to NOPSEMA for that. You can see outlined there a lot of prospects that are defined by 2D. These also have anomalies on the 2D seismic. You can see that we have a lot of potential going forward without even reviewing the T49 permit as well, which has a 1.3 TCF prospect in there as well. So this is the why. Now, anyone who's been following the East Coast gas market, it is a basket case trying to follow. People have been watching this graph for a few years will notice something changed recently. That purple dashed line, which is the predicted gas demand on the East Coast by AMO, used to decline quite rapidly. But as the renewable rollout is faltering, that line is now flatlined. And the gap between the actual supply and the demand has increased. It's not getting any better. And if you think about where that gas is going to come from, it's hard to say, apart from our area, of course. And I even think that is optimistic because it relies a lot on gas coming from the Queensland fields that have contracted overseas. I believe it's even worse than that. So I think we're in a great spot here. Just to give you context, the green circle is 3D Oil's evaluated prospective resources for the whole joint venture. The grey circle is about what Victoria uses a year. It's just to give contextually the sort of volumes we have identified as prospective resources to date. One thing we've also recently announced is that we've signed a right of first refusal to sell our gas to Conoco. Now, this, I think, is a good thing. I mean, it's the first time we've actually talked about gas sales as a company, so that's very exciting for that fact alone. However, it does also enable Conoco to be able to have more gas to sell to get a better deal for the joint venture. But it also doesn't disable us from being able to sell into the spot market. So I think it's a very good deal. It's one we spent a lot of time on getting right. So in the future, we will not regret it. I think it's a really good deal. Lastly, if you want to find gas in Australia, I mean, this is Gastopia, really. I mean, we've got a lot of developments near our blocks. We have 2 facilities, both Beach and Coopers. Coopers are running at less than 20% capacity. There is plenty of opportunity to basically tie into either facilities and get gas to market. Now, it's our intention, unless we make a huge discovery, is probably to go the easiest route to get gas to market, and is to tie in to one of those facilities in the event we get discoveries. So that could be either the Beach gas plant onshore or the Cooper one at Athena. And we are also very close to a number of pipelines that go back to the Victorian coastline. So you couldn't get a better spot, really. So when are we doing this? So, we're currently in the planning for drilling at the moment. Well, Conoco largely doing that. We're working on a portfolio. We have an environmental planning for drilling. And we will be drilling next year. The rig is currently with Shell on the North West Shelf. We'll be coming down to Victoria around Christmas time. It's taken by Woodside at that stage, and then after that, it may be us or maybe Beach. But we will be drilling probably at the earliest in the second quarter of next year. 2 wells fully carried in an area that has almost 100% success rate. Looking to this year, we do have plenty of news flow coming. Obviously, getting our EP for both the seismic and the drilling will be happening shortly, we believe. We've got procurement of a lot of drilling items. We've got our seabed surveys, and we have the final selection of our 2 well locations to announce this year. Plenty coming up this year prior to drilling next year. So this is the what I call the what. I'm pretty proud of this. As a company been existing for a while, we've pretty much existed on a smell of oily rag. We've done lots of deals corporately with majors, and we haven't issued a lot of shares. We still have a very tight share register with only 330 million shares, 55% held by 20% shareholders. So it's very tightly held. We have plenty of cash in the bank, and we've got funding going forward for 2 wells at this stage. So just to finish off here, the portfolio, I mean, I believe is world class. And basically, we have a conveyor belt of prospects going forward for many, many years. So as we transition to hopefully being a producer, we will still remain an explorer as well. The prospectivity we have is close to infrastructure, which is underutilized, and based close to one of the strongest gas markets in the world, where Conoco will deliver this project. They're totally focused on delivering gas to the market, and they've largely stayed under the radar in Australia till recently, but for many reasons. But as we get closer to drilling, we can't stay under the radar that much longer. So we do have a drilling program coming up. It's very exciting, and we're looking forward to that. And another opportunity, I can talk about our other great blocks, but for today, we just focus on the Otway. And thank you very much.
Wonderful, Noel. Thank you for the great presentation. I'll just get you to stop sharing your screen there, and I'll jump into some questions. And you did speak about this at length actually in your presentation, but the East Coast energy market is very complex, and many are calling for emergency investment in more gas resources. So what do you hope to see at a government level that will drive faster development for offshore gas versus onshore assets?
Yeah, well, the support from particularly the state government here has not been great. It's not ideal, obviously. And there's always talk that there's no gas in Victoria. Well, you know, our blocks are in federal waters, but yet they are sort of Victorian area. It's not true. I mean, support from this government in any form would be great. Even a conversation would be great, actually. So, but you know, the federal government does have a gas strategy, and so there is support from them, albeit cloudy sometimes.
Understood completely. Next question that's popped up. So when are you expecting environmental approvals to be finalised and drill target identification? Okay,
well, in terms of the drilling, we were the first cab off the rank in the consortium to get our EP in for drilling. That's progressing well. We're tic-tacking with NOPSEMA at the moment. It's difficult to envisage us not getting an EP to do drilling. I mean, we've mobilised a rig from Norway. Okay, so it's hard to envisage it wouldn't happen, but we're well advanced to that. Conoco are very, very optimistic in regards to that. And as we said, we were the first off, so we're ahead of the game. We also have an EP in for our seismic survey in Norway at the moment. You know, that doesn't come without its problems, but we're progressing that well as well.
And Noel, finally, you actually did cover this in your presentation, but just to reiterate, I think what should shareholders be looking forward to over the next maybe 3 to 6 months from a news flow perspective?
Well, you know, we're aware we need news flow coming up to drilling, and we will have a lot of news flow. And we've got a lot of obviously planning for drilling coming up, procurement of lots of things. We'll be signing a heavy lift vessel in the next week or two. We will be selecting our sites for drilling, which I think is really exciting today. I didn't show the prospects, but we're spoilt for choice with all AVO anomalies. We're very excited. So that will be coming shortly. We'll be showing the prospects we will be drilling. And, you know, one of the interesting things with Conoco, I always thought, you know, Conoco is like the world's largest oil company. We're like the world's smallest oil company. I thought our agendas would be different, but no, Conoco are focused on underpinning a gas development by drilling the lowest risk features we can find, with size not being the major factor. Now, currently, 3D Energy, sorry, doesn't have any reserves booked, but following this, I believe we will. So it's exciting for us to be able to get reserves booked in the event of hopefully 2 discoveries and then maybe 4 more.
Well, Noel, thanks again for the great presentation. A copy of today's recording will be available online in the coming days, but thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Shane, and thank you for everyone listening.